All right, everybody, welcome back. So let's get right into the drama that we have, of course, which is going to be from the world of chess. We have Russian Chess Federation urges Magnus Carlsen to return winnings earned in Russia. Okay. Sergei Samagin, Sergei Samagin, the vice president of the Chess Federation of Russia, has criticized Norwegian Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen for his calls to exclude Russian and Belarusian players from competitions under the auspices of the International Chess Federation FIDE. Carlsen is undoubtedly the strongest chess player in the world right now. However, besides Carlsen, there are thousands of high-level chess players who hold different views on allowing Russians back onto the world stage. Carlsen is a member of the Norwegian Federation, which has consistently opposed Russia. Moreover, Carlsen is expressing opinions that primarily benefit him. Without Russian players, the level of global competition decreases, Samagin told TelecomAsia.net. Now, first things first, let's be real. Thousands of high-level chess players who hold different views. That is Russian propaganda. I'm pretty sure all the Russians within Russia definitely have a different view. But even Russians like Fedoseev, who left Russia for Slovenia, I believe they said something quite different yesterday in their interviews. So this is a little bit of some propaganda here. Like, yeah, thousands who oppose his views. I think most chess players, by the way, just want the whole thing to end. They're sick of it, and they do not really agree with that statement. So that's the first thing that's very clear. Secondarily, I love this. Without Russian players, the level of global competition decreases. I'm going to tell you guys a fun fact. In this modern world, the USSR, also known as the Soviet Union, is no longer what it once was, nor is Russia. The reality is the top chess players in the world no longer come from Russia. They come from countries like India and Uzbekistan and America. So, at the end of the day, this is an interesting excuse. Without Russian players, the level of global competition decreases. Best players in the world are coming from India, so what can I say? Like, it sucks, but the reality is Russia's not as good at chess as they once were. Hate to say it, but the truth sometimes does hurt. So that's the first thing. But let's keep going. Sergei Samagin, exclusively for TelecomAsia.net, says, "I would like to remind Carlsen that the start of his professional career happened in Russia." The start of his professional career. You know, this is hilarious. The start of his professional career. No, the first there are two big events that happened for Magnus. I remember when he first burst on the scene, and they were not in Russia. The first two big events were when he played Garry Kasparov in the was it Rapid or was it Blitz? He played him in Iceland. I think it was Rapid. They played the Rapid event in Iceland where he played Garry, and the second one was when he played the FIDE World Cup in Libya against Slovan Aronian. Those are the two events that really propelled Magnus onto the scene. And so I'm sorry, but again, this is just simply factually incorrect. But let's go through the statement. I'd like to remind Carlsen the start of his professional career happened in Russia. He visited our country as a boy, competed in various tournaments, and earned a significant amount of money here before making negative comments about Russia. Magnus was already like a 2,700 plus player before he even played in Russia. I mean, unless he played Aeroflot, and I'm unaware of it. Magnus was already like 2,700 plus when he was playing the Tal Memorial in the late 2000s. Like, what even is this? What even is this nonsense? Before making negative comments about Russia, it'd be proper for him to pay back what he owes in terms of those winnings. I generally have a very negative view of political statements made by people who do not understand or influence these processes. Athletes should focus on sports, not politics. Now, this is all nice and fine to say, but the problem is, at the end of the day, there are a lot of Russians who are involved with chess, and it is very, very political. So I don't think this is well worded. I'm gonna be honest. I think you could word this a lot better, because a lot of what is said here, maybe this is translated from Russian, is simply nonsense. 16th world chess champion Magnus Carlsen addressed the issue during an award ceremony, recognizing him as the best chess player of all time, where he proposed that Russian and Belarusian players should not be allowed to participate in global tournaments. Previously, Babur Tobayev, head of the Chess Federation of Kyrgyzstan, suggested reinstating Russian and Belarusian players in FIDE competitions. The issue is set to be discussed at the General Assembly of the organization, scheduled for September 21st, 22nd in Budapest, Hungary. Okay, I guess that's the end of the article. It's not a super long article, but here's what I have to say, broadly speaking, about this topic, which is that at the end of the day, I get that Russian players are being excluded from playing tournaments. They are. That is the reality. Russian players do not have the opportunities they had prior to the war that they started by invading Ukraine. That is the simple reality. And I know there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, but it's all about NATO or this, that, or the other thing. at the end of the day, the reality is that, you know, when there are for actions there are consequences. That's the reality. You know, cause and effect. And at the end of the day, it sucks. I get that. It sucks for the Russian players. But the fact is, Russia can simply stop attacking Ukraine and everything can go back to normal. But you know, it's unpleasant. Certainly, I think, you know, as I said, there are you know, it's how it is. It's just how it is, kind of. And I don't like it. I mean, of course, I think it's a shame for the Russian players. There are many talented players who don't have opportunities these days from Russia and Belarus. You look at a player like Denis Lazovic, who's from Belarus, who I think doesn't have opportunities to travel and play many turns. You could look at what's it, Volodar Murzin, a very talented Russian junior player, doesn't have the opportunities either. There are other players like Grishuk, who I think mostly is retired now because he doesn't have a chance to play either. So, you know, there are many Russian players who are suffering because of this. But you know, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the world we live in. And what are you guys saying? Players control the war? Oh, I never said players control the war, but we also know that at the end of the day, people get punished for the decisions of the government. We do know that. Like, that is simply Dubov, I believe, left Russia. I think he is in Kazakhstan, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think that, you know, it's unfortunate for the players. The players suffer. They're the ones who get screwed over. The politicians at the top, you know, do not, obviously. Which of course is the tragedy in all these things. What about Yesipenko? Well, I'll tell you guys another thing that I know directly, which is that I'm playing in the Global Chess League, which is in 2 weeks in London in the United Kingdom, and I'm playing in London in the Global Chess League, and I was supposed to be playing on a team with Vladislav Artemiev, and now it appears that I'm going to be playing most likely with Vladimir Fedoseev because the Russian players are unable to get visas. I do believe this is the same reason that Andrei Yesipenko had to withdraw from the WR event that also is happening in London as well. I think like a week later or something. So Russians are struggling. They're not getting visas. They're not able to play, and they're being punished for what their government is doing. Now, on the other hand, what I would say is that there are people dying every day. There are missiles being launched upon Ukraine. There are innocent people who are dying, and sure, it sucks that at the end. It does suck for the players, but that's you know, there's a price. There's a price for that, and I think trying to go after Magnus and coming up with these very flimsy excuses really is not the way forward. It's just not the way forward. Karyak and Artemiev and many others do support the invasion. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's what it is. Like, I'm not gonna get into what people are allowed to believe whatever they want to. People are allowed to believe what they want to believe. But at the end of the day, like, trying to say, you know, Magnus' professional career started in Russia, that's complete nonsense, obviously. And I think Magnus trying to stand up for the Ukrainians, which also, I mean, like, he has a right to do that. He has an absolute right to do that. I don't think you can really say that he shouldn't. Karyakin in the Senate in Moscow. I mean, I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah, it's how it is. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. And I think, I mean, in my opinion, it'd be better if you know, if everybody would probably just stop talking about it personally as far as chess goes. But still, you know, you stand up for what you believe in. You stand up for what you believe in. I mean, I would also say for myself, I'm very proud that I raised $140,000 along with Ben Feingold and a few other. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say their names because then maybe they can't go to Russia either. But we raised about, I think we raised about $140,000 for Ukraine early on, right after Russia invaded, and I am very proud of that. So I think you guys already know where I stand on the whole thing as well. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. And you know, I think if you guys want to talk about Karyakin, that's a little bit different too, because Karyakin's gone out of his way to go into the war zone, or to go into where the fighting is happening. He's made a lot of direct statements. Most players in Russia have not made statements. Most players in Russia have not made statements at all about this, to be clear. Karyakin's gone out of his way to talk about it and basically say that Russia's great, this, that, or the other thing. Yeah, so it's what it is. It's what it is. And we don't need more wars, obviously. We don't need more wars. So that's just how it goes. And I think, you know, the other big problem at the end of the day is that when you look at this topic as a whole, you have to realize that you can't really try to separate chess from politics because of how influential Russia has been within FIDE. And I mean, you cannot understate that fact of the reality. But You know, that's the thing. It's like there are a lot. Russia's had a huge influence in chess over the last 20 years. I mean, much longer than that, frankly. But they have had a they have had a huge thing. So anyway, you know, you might disagree with what I'm saying. I mean, I think Magnus is standing up for something that he believes in. I don't see anything wrong with that. Gary obviously is on the side of the Ukrainians as well. So yeah, I mean, I think asking for money back or saying his career started, it's flimsy at best. You could say, I mean, what they should have said is, in one sense, athletes should focus on sports, not politics. By the way, that should have been the exact statement. One sentence: athletes should focus on sports, not politics. And that might have gone over better. But otherwise, like, it's red meat for the people in Russia who want to buy into it. But for everybody else who's not in Russia, it's just it's really flimsy at best.